Fernie's Tacos is stepping into CL here for the first time. This still is proving ground for both of these teams, right? Because Fernie's Tacos last week, we did see them play. They took Outlast on Cafe 7-4, a solid victory there. But if you watch that matchup and you know how Outlast have been stacking up against their opponents so far, yeah, you're probably not sitting in the best position. Now, going to Nocturnes, they're also in an interesting situation because they did not have a great time last week. In fact, they didn't play at all last week, and like CDAPS has already highlighted, they had some interesting roster moves that we're going to have to see how those shake up.
Yeah, and of course, you know, if you were watching the FPL Fight Club, like the analyst desk had mentioned, Sykes was doing the most, really. He was pretty insane. So I'm really pumped to watch Sykes to see how the content creator does. You know, we've had a couple content creators come into CL. You know, another notable one being Atheno, who did, you know, he started off slow, did really well for himself towards the latter half of stage 2. So, you know, I don't necessarily doubt Sykes. I doubt his experience. But I think with the kind of backbone he has behind him and the experience of Nocturnes, not only as a roster, but the support staff they have as well, I think they can really turn him into a fantastic player. We're going to Church Arsenal first, and it's looking like a Rome. Now, it's not, you know, quote-unquote, the SSG Rome. It's got a couple of the same pieces. I imagine it's going to be the Vigil and the Mute set up with their utility upstairs, Legion and Castle holding down the site. But the Pulse pick is the one that's really interesting.
Yeah, we didn't highlight the bans too much during the ban phase because this part of the game is pretty standard here for Clubhouse. The Wamai, of course, the Thatcher, the Habana, the Valkyrie, nothing crazy there. But yes, the Pulse, that is a little bit more interesting. This is something I've seen, you know, several times, especially on this basement site. Your Pulse generally going to be camped out in Arsenal, and it's his job to scope out exactly where the attackers are coming from. Are you seeing a kitchen direct approach and a lot of that vertical pressure being applied early, or are people working their way around towards dirt? Is Moto going to be a focus? All of that intel can be determined just by that heartbeat sensor alone. Not to mention, of course, with 2 C4s in this defensive lineup, you can, well, quite literally send some attackers sky high if that intel comes at the right time, and some Fernie's Tacos attackers find themselves sitting on some soft floors below. But the roam that you mentioned, Harrison, is going to be a focus at the onset of this round, even before we can see this Pulse likely come into play, because the question is now, what do Fernie's Tacos want to do about this roam? Are they going to work their way in from above and try to clear it out? Looks like to some extent that will be the case. Flipper, the Lion, has entered through Strip Club to provide that sort of cutoff point when this top-down pressure does eventually mount. Have someone in position to stop those roamers from getting back to site safely.
The Pulse is not where I thought he would be. I thought maybe he would be in sort of the bar area, helping support those the top floor roamers, rather than on the basement stairs. I don't know if that can see all the way up. It might. Blackie is already going to start falling back. Flipper has already made his way into pool, but just narrowly misses the shot onto Lackey. That's truly unfortunate for the Lion, and he'll leave Sykes all alone up in server and cash, but it looks like Sykes as well will start to fall back down the red stairs. But he's very cautious of someone perhaps watching for his rotate, either in lounge or blue. Of course, there's nothing for him to actually worry about, but he can't exactly know that now. Can he? Lackey, or I couldn't tell if that was Lackey or Marmalade, judging by the silhouette. It's actually Marmalade. Marmalade is going to be coming up towards blue just to make sure it's clear for Sykes, coming for that support. That'll prompt the fallback. And I mean, hey, you haven't lost a single thing as the defense, not even a single point of HP. And you've wasted about a minute 45. You're in pretty good standing.
Yeah, as far as roams go, this has been exceptional. They haven't been forced to burn a C4 either. Nobody trying to even use a bit of utility. Finally, we're going to see that utility go out, and it will be successful right at the onset. Fika will shut down Rainbow, a beautiful C4 in through kitchen, removing the ace from play. And that's going to shake things up just a little bit. The diffuser dropped. That means Fernie's is going to have to rotate around and recover that, but at the very least, those Selmas have been utilized already. Unfortunately, they still haven't dealt with FICO. He's going to go for a triple kill as now he takes down Nat as well. And now Fernie's Tacos are in a whole lot of trouble. Titans will, of course, respond, finally dealing with the elusive FICO, and now Poise is going for the miracle play, creeping up the long haul. Exod has no idea, so he'll get taken down. Poise now looking for a second as he'll turn his focus towards blue, but that will not save the life of his teammate as Titans falls for good. Last player standing will get swung on by Lackey, and Nocturnes will take round one. An aggressive play from FICO, giving them a huge edge.
It seems like Nocturnes want to fight fire with fire, at least down on the site. The roam itself was very controlled. They did not get aggressive. It almost looked like Nocturnes didn't want to peek. They did not want the fights. And I really like that. When you're playing a roam like that with so much drone denial, area denial from the Legion, info to support, they weren't swinging off the info. They were using the info to avoid the attackers, and Fernie's just took a little bit too long to clear. By the time all the roamers fell back to side, it was about at minute 45, and Fernie's only really started playing, the vert over towards kitchen, because obviously it was a kitchen hatch push, until about a minute 10. And that is simply not enough time, especially with the C4 support from FICO, and then getting 2 more kills on top of that. I mean, the round was pretty much over just then. Then you have one guy on the hatch, Poise, trying to push solo down long. Sure, he got 1 kill, but he wasn't able to make the hero play he was looking for because there was another guy behind box 3, and there was someone in blue, and Poise got just a little bit scared. So I really like the defense from Nocturnes, especially that super aggressive play towards the end. Once Nocturnes knew the pressure was on, that's when they really took the lid off.
Well, another interesting thing is that we're actually going to be heading straight to gym and bedroom, circumventing the rather typical preferred site of CCTV and cache. Nocturnes clearly not afraid of going to a generally more difficult site here, and not afraid to pull out more interesting operators lineups either. Sykes is going to be pulling out the Tachanka, something that can, in my experience, be quite hit or miss. If you use him well, those Shumika launcher, those 14 fire grenades can be so effective at slowing down the attackers, especially on a site like gym and bedroom that often ends up being just a full bum rush and a firefight in the objective at the end of the day. That can be crucial and can absolutely turn the tide of the round. But really, you have to get to the point where you can use that well, because a lot of times we're seeing Tachanka players, maybe they want to use that LMG, maybe they want to hold positions just a bit off site. And like Sykes is doing right now, if he's isolated in logistics, if that hatch is open and he gets stuck in there, he may have a bit of trouble actually using that primary gadget effectively towards the end of the round.
Yeah, tucked in Logi is definitely an interesting position. He's helping supplement Exod in Con. I imagine his fire will be used maybe towards the sheet door, maybe over towards if they decide to breach, maybe even the window. He's got a lot of possibilities where he can potentially use this fire and delay a lot of time, and maybe even allow Exod to escape. But Exod might not need that help. He's already going to down Poise, figure, all right, you know what? Damage done. I don't want to get too greedy, and he will fall back to site. I love the way that Nocturnes are playing off-site so far. Now, of course, it is only round 2. There's still plenty of time and plenty of rounds where they could start making errors, but towards the beginning of this game, I like the way it's looking. And as Exod goes down, FICO's got the cover, and he's going to trade out Rainbow as Poise gets picked up. So we're back to about even man count, with Exod still being semi-recoverable towards the middle of the site, with only a minute left, and Sykes still with almost full utility, logic control not being taken, and all these attackers really just posted up on the windows. Nocturnes are looking like they have the advantage in the anchor game once again.
This nade from Nat could be big, but it's not going to connect. Instead, FICO lobs out a nitro cell and shuts down Nat right back. Now Titans and Poise will together push up into construction in an effort to change the course of this one, and a fantastic wall bang from Poise, finally removing FICO once again, will give Fernie's Tacos a little bit more hope in this round. The next player likely in their line of sight is Lackey, who's now rotated out of the bathroom, but is now in an even more dangerous position in the long hall facing the gym, now being challenged by the player at the window. That's Flipper, just hanging out here on the metal balcony and trying to apply pressure to just about everywhere. Exod, after killing Poise, who will end up killing himself with a Pokeball, leaving Titans and Flipper alone to make something happen, but Lackey shuts down the first. Last player is Flipper, as he'll creep on into the bedroom, and Lackey will be more than happy to collect both of these final kills and solidify 2 rounds in a row now for this Nocturnes defense. But it is FICO really the man of the hour who has been going massive. That's 5 kills between these first 2 rounds.
Yeah, he has been stepping up tremendously, getting the first kill onto Nat, and the second on the other man on the window. I forgot exactly who that was. I believe it was Titans? Yeah, because Titans has been the sledge. I feel like it was Titans. The way Nocturnes played that, I mean, they had the con extension. It went pretty much according to plan. Exod, he didn't get a kill off of it, but he was able to fall back with a down on the poise. That's a lot of HP off of your main entry of the Zoe. The attackers were never able to take Logi as well. Literally, the only thing that Fernie's had going for them was cash, sort of tentative control and con, and the balcony. And that was it. Jacuzzi Breach wasn't open, so that means FICO is allowed to just kind of play in gym however he feels like. That allowed him to get those 2 kills. Towards the end of the round, you saw the Jaeger of Lackey also playing there, once again, because there was nothing to stop him. Jacuzzi Breach wasn't open. He could easily kill the man hopping through the window as the last 2 attackers tried to go for that duo play. And Fernie's just... The attack, in my mind, was really inchoate. It was really incomplete. They just didn't have enough for the time they dedicated to the east side of the map.
And Fernie's Tacos on the attack, I don't expect them to struggle with the timing very much. As our analyst desk highlighted, CJ was making the point that this is a confident attacking team, right? This is a team that is going to take gunfights confidently. They are going to force the issue when they can, and, well, in this case, they are going to narrowly avoid getting spawn peeked there by Lackey, who is wielding the Thunderbird AR to its best of its abilities now. Fernies will once again be approaching roughly from this west side and begin what looks to be a top-down clear. Of course, as we are in CCTV and cache, it'll really be more of a gym over clear, at least from that master side, while a good bit of action is occurring on this platform wall as well. Nat has already made quick work of this wall, and with his Zofia impact, that will open that right up and already expose the site to a couple of long angles. In the meantime, you've got Flipper, who is working a solo entry from the jacuzzi wall, a couple of drones at his feet to assist this clear. Just enough, though, to intimidate Lackey to falling back into cache itself. FICO as well, playing loose on this construction door, doesn't seem too eager to get overly aggressive because only 1:10 have passed and Fernie's Tacos are already up into construction, and a Selma charge is already being placed on that cache wall.
Yeah, I definitely like the sped up attack from Fernie's Tacos right now. They've made really good time. We saw the wall, the main plat wall open in under a minute. They've already cleared the entire west side of the map. So they know Master is good. They know they can start going for this con pinch. They're going to probably completely ignore Garage. But does Rainbow know about FICO, the man of the hour right now on the mute? He is right by the sheet door. He's in prime position to swing, but again, if the attackers are ready for it, he's surely a dead man. They'll start stunning in as well. That'll prompt FICO to just rotate around and hug the wall. So he's able to get out of that dangerous corner, which is really good. He's in a bit more of a playable spot, especially as that nade comes through after. That surely would have killed him. So lucky for him and lucky for his team that he was able to get out alive. Poise is looking like he wants to jump right through the window, but he'll spot FICO just through the wall. It's actually Nat to find that kill, but as he jumps through, here's Exod. Rainbow and Titans actually both get downed, I believe, by the C4 from Lackey. And that might be the round-saving play. The Thunderbird from behind green box, making the moves necessary. Rainbow, he's going to be able to get picked up by Flipper and Titans as well. But now 2 of your main entry players who are going to be in the site, the Sledge and the Planter, are very low on HP. That's not going to stop Flipper, though. He just peeks right in. Down goes Locky. The man advantage now swings in the favor of Fernie's Tacos by 1, now 2, as Nat finds another out the breach. It's Exod and Sykes now. Both of these players have yet to really step up so far. Sykes has not even really seen a member of the attack just yet this match, and I'm itching to see how he does in this high-pressure situation. He knows there's one coming through the breach. Easy kill onto Titans. He turns his back, but doesn't get collected just yet. Exod finds one onto Nat. That was the man going through the breach, and Sykes is going to rotate downstairs, either coming from flank or playing for the plant denial from below. But there's barely any time. Rainbow's just going to have to go for it, and he turns his back. What was that from Fernie's Tacos? They had the control and catch they needed, and yet they still try and push into server in the last seconds.
Yeah, bit of a puzzler there, Harrison. It looked like, even though the round looked initially like it was in the hands of Nocturnes after Lackey's exceptional C4, with the both players getting picked back up on their feet and then immediately following 2 kills being found in the favor of the attack, It was looking like it was going their way, especially after Nocturnes and those last two players had been forced off their angles. They had to scramble around. They could no longer hold those positions. And so Fernie's took firm control of Cash, fully controlled it. Yes, there was a player on the top of red stairs, but he could not swing around that breach safely because there were several people watching that angle. You couldn't swing around from the CCTV door into Cash because, again, there were several players watching that angle. But instead of committing for the plant then, and just going for the coverage from that construction door, Fernie's decided to force the issue, push top red, deal with that player, push into CCTV, deal with Exot over there, and both of those mistakes resulted in a round loss. It resulted in the time being a problem, and while the confidence and their aggressive playstyle paid off hugely in the beginning of that round with how quickly they were able to get on the doorstep of the objective, it cost them in the end because they were over eager to take gunfights and didn't focus on the objective like they needed to. A little bit concerning there for the future.
That was wonderfully played. I believe 2v4 for Exot and Sykes. Very well played. Sykes as well. I mean, playing just passively enough, right? Getting that kill onto red, making Fernies feel like they weren't safe. I wonder if that's why they didn't want to play plant Cash. Maybe they thought Sykes was still on red. Oh, that was a little bit scary. I thought we were going to have to rehost for a sec. Maybe they thought Sykes was still there. Exot killing that guy breach too. I mean, it was a 2v4, and they only needed to kill half the players because of Fernie's over-cautiousness, I guess. Speaking of overcautious, though, Sykes is going to be doing the exact opposite, peeking through a little, they call that a gunner hole, in the bottom of the window, and trading a little bit of damage with Poise, as again, the roam clear starts to come from the attack, dealing with pretty much the same setup as they did in round 1.
Once again, Flipper looking to get aggressive here, already taking this gunfight with Lackey, who has the Vigil. His job is to hold down Bar as long as possible, but quickly he's been forced out of his position, which now puts Sykes in an uncomfortable situation because rotating down the stairs, you no longer have that support from that Bar player. You're going to have to rely on your blue stairs player, who in this case is Marmalade, who is tentatively supporting this position over by the red stairs, but Sykes doesn't want to rotate away, and that's become a problem rather quickly. He's been cut down to 1 HP because of a bit, call it over-eagerness, and now Titans is looking to pressure this and finish this out for good, but he's going to take a goo mine out of his foot. Sykes is going to hear that, and because Poise wasn't covering that at the right moment, that is going to result in a 1-for-1 trade. Thankfully, of course, Poise was able to respond, but now it's a 4 versus 4, and Fernie's Tacos, this roam clear, has gone down a lot less successfully than they might have liked. And for one reason above all, you've lost your sledge. One player designed to remove the entire ceiling from the objective and pressure these defenders out of those power positions.
Like you said, not only is it the sledge they lost, but they also wasted way more time on the clear, about 2 minutes rather than the minute 45 in round 1. The one solace they have is at least it was an even trade, and, you know, it's a 4v4 rather than a 5v4 after the early C4 kill from FICO, which he will not get in this round. Matt is going to nade open the castle barricade, looking for a kill by AKs, but he's going to miss all the shots and only connect one into FICO as the Pulse maybe was a little bit oblivious to that quick play from the Maverick. So he'll be down a little bit HP, but it's not really too much of a worry. Fernie's Tacos are still looking to drop this hatch as Nat finally gets a kill. There it is from Dirt onto Exod, the castle player, and in comes the hatch drop. There's no C4 in range from Nocturnes to get this plant, but the Dirt player dies. Blackie actually gets a kill with an impact, and though it's a post plant, the positioning should be in the favor of the defense, especially with some playing, for one playing for the long haul. Rainbow stuck in the back of Arsenal, fighting against his demons right now, against literally all 3 players. He's got a couple EE1Ds, or rather the last EE1D to help support him and delay time, but as a flank is coming upstairs, Lackey will be unsuccessful. Now the man count has been even and falls in the hands of just Flipper, but he has the hatch, he has the positioning, he can deny the counter defuse from above. The question is, does Nocturnes know? They should after he got that kill onto the Vigil. They're trying to bait it out. Flipper might need to drop. He sees the leg of one and Marmalade as well. Fernie's round number 4, the 1v2 from Flipper being successful.
You know, finally finding an attacking round for Fernie's, a messy one, but getting the job done. And despite the adversity they faced in the early round, losing the sledge, struggling on the timing of their roam clear, honestly impressed they pulled that one out. They regrouped, focused heavily on Arsenal and committing to that push regardless of the challenges they faced. You had, I believe it was Nat pushing down Dirt, just committing to that push and forcing those Nocturnes defenders back further into Arsenal, behind box 3, behind dummies, behind AKs, forcing them back and unable to deny that plant because the C4s had already been expended, and in this case, unsuccessful compared to round 1 where we saw that opening kill with the C4. That meant the plant could go down successfully, and all Fernies had to do was hold the hatch. And as a defense trying to retake that situation, I mean, I feel for you. There's pretty much nothing you can do. Even in a 2v1, when you have 15 seconds, you simply don't have the time to run around and go upstairs and take a 2v1 gunfight in the kitchen itself. You have to just hope that you can get that defuse off while your other player covers the one angle you're hoping that the attacker is going to swing. And in this case, Nocturnes not watching the hatch, it seemed, and they're going to get caught out by that. Fernie's Tacos successfully able to take that first round, despite some lackluster performances from Rainbow there and Titans, who have been unable to show up so far in this match.
Yeah, I will say the 3v2, I think, was a little bit misplayed. Because Flipper was playing extremely passively upstairs. I would have liked to see a little bit more invested into killing Rainbow first, before they went for the upstairs push with Lackey, but, you know, I digress. It's just one round. I mean, Nocturnes are still up 3-1, which is really good, especially on Clubhouse, which has started to become a little bit more even, especially with the Jaeger Wamai changes and Flores being brought in and all that stuff. But Nocturnes have switched up their defense on Jim, right? Last time, it was a Chonka in Logi and a Con Shield. This time, they are full dedicated all the way into Cash, and it's FICO and Sykes to hold off all 5 of these players.
Yeah, still able to hold down Cash for now because the pressure from Fernies is, well, we'll say taking a little bit longer than the previous rounds here. A C4 already expended. That one dealing quite a bit of damage to Poise, but not enough to finish him off. That's going to be FICO's C4. Only Exod has the next Nitro cell remaining for this defense. And, well, of course, he is nowhere in sight to support this Cash extension. FICO and Sykes have yet to rotate away. They're still holding this position rather stalwart, and they're going to have to deal with now pressure coming from just about everywhere. Nat up the red stairs will be successful in that endeavor. Poise will join him with another kill, that one taking out FICO, and just like that, the Jim hold will now be the last bit of this defense. Anything on the CCTV side of the map has been removed, and a 3v5 for the remainder of the round for Nocturnes.
Yeah, I'm not sure how FICO met his end, but Sykes, you saw there, Sykes got timinged. Proning on, like, switching to the prone on the red stairs rather than just holding the angle. I guarantee if he had not done that, he would have had the kill on the Nat. No questions asked, but fortunately, timing works like that sometimes in this game. And FICO, you know, after we highlighted him being the man of the hour, getting 5 kills in 2 rounds, well, he hasn't gotten any since. Hopefully he's able to wake back up, because right now his team needs him. It's a 3 versus 5 for Marmalade, Exod, and Lackey. They've only got 45 seconds left to delay. You know, the time is starting to tick for this attack to get a move on. And once again, Jacuzzi is not open. They have Khan, they have the balcony, they do not have Logi, and they do not have the West Breach. So they're all really coming from pretty bottlenecked positions, especially with Marmalade's position. She could easily stop Rainbow jumping in from the breach, and there's really no pressure that the attackers can apply on her. Exod is going to get the first kill for his team onto GNAT. Down goes the Maverick, but he was very low HP anyway. It's just a man back, and that can sometimes help loads. 10 seconds left. Here comes Rainbow. He's going to jump in, start planting behind the red toolbox in the middle of the site. The C4 from Exod might be enough to counter it, and it's a perfect throw. Marmalade, in the meantime, gets one, as well as a second jumping through the windows, and there is just no time for Poise to do anything. Nocturnes with round number 5. Once again, they know how to play the aggressive game, and they know when to tighten up and when to play passive. Incredible play from them in the 3v5.
That was really well done. I mean, Fernie's Tacos, they kind of walked into that to some extent, right? They didn't pressure from any other angle other than construction and the metal balcony, right? That's not quite enough. Even in a 3v5 like that, you're just relying on your ability to win gunfights. And on paper, before really this matchup began, I'd say that would have been a valid strategy for Fernie's Tacos. This seems like a team with a lot of gun skill, with Nocturnes losing Mohes and Freak. Those are probably two of the strongest gun skill players on the side of Nocturnes that have been lost. Then why not take gunfights? I respect that strategy, but in the case of Dim and Bedroom, when you're going for a push like that, you need to have at least one other angle of attack, because if you don't, Nocturnes are going to be able to sit back, hang out in that hallway, hang out in bathroom, in logistics, and happy to frag you out. And they did exactly that. Exod going massive with that C4. These pieces of utility for this NKG defense have been exceptional, really. Almost every round we've seen some sort of kill with that secondary utility, whether it's been a team kill or otherwise. We did see an impact grenade kill in round 2, but they have done a really good job at dealing with these Fernie's Tacos attacks, even when it looks like it's not going their way. So props to them. They're going to jump out to a 4-1 lead because of it. And Fernie's now on this final attacking round. They're in a bit of trouble.
Something I really want to highlight right now for everyone watching is Sykes. So many times when I see a content creator who is known for their aim enter comp, whether it be T3 or T2 or what have you, they play very aggressively. They overpeak because, you know, it's hard to get out of that mindset, right? They want to go for the clips. Sykes so far, sure, he's 2-2. He's not having the same Herculean performance as he did in the FPL Fight Club that we saw over the weekend, but and I think his inexperience shows a little bit, but I gotta give hats off to him. He is playing really well. He is not getting over aggressive. He's not over peaking. He kind of overstayed his welcome a little bit on that initial roam, but he did go 1 for 1, so you can't really blame him. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Sykes and probably, you know, the support staff as well on Nocturnes for really pushing him in the right direction. I've been impressed with him so far. Now he's on Goyo. He's also shown himself to be quite a flexible player, which is not what we see from a lot of content creators that enter comp.
The flexibility on the side of Fernie's Tacos is something I actually was thinking quite a bit about going into this matchup. Of course, this is, you know, Nocturne's opponents right now and seem to be dealing with them quite handily, at least up until now. This round so far going Fernie's way is a nice nade kill from Nat. Will end up putting Fernie's Tacos in a 5 versus 4. But the flexibility of someone like Poise is something I've been paying attention to, because Poise on the attacking side, hard stuck on that Zofia role, but when switching to defense, proving that yes, he can play that fragging role, but also switching to support at any time. For now, though, he'll continue fragging, as he'll take down Exod, keeping Fernie's in this advantage, but Sykes, another player we've talked so much about, will get a double kill on the round. The only thing keeping Nocturnes alive in this round, playing beautifully from the basement, constantly pressuring Fernie's as they're trying to start to build up this pressure in garage and on the site itself. Now they're actually already pushing into server and trying to take some gunfights, trying to isolate Sykes, isolate these two defenders now sitting in cash. They'll do so successfully, at least Nat will, as he takes down Lackey. But now one player to find, top of red stairs, and a quick headshot deletes FICO. Titans takes down Sykes as he rotates back, and Fernie's potentially recover a disastrous half by taking a second round at least.
That round, after looking at the 3v3, I thought to myself, okay, this is probably going to be a Nocturnes round because of Sykes, right? It's a 3v3. I don't know if I'd feel confident in a team pushing the site 2v2 like that with someone top red and someone green box, but Nocturnes, I think that round played too passive, right? They weren't really putting any pressure on the guys on the breach. They just let them walk in, and they really had no answer, meaning that, you know, what I was worried about, which was a lack of manpower on the execute because someone was dedicated to watching Sykes, ended up being a moot point. I mean, again, Fernie just walked in, played off their gun skill, and it worked out. So hats off for Nat. I think it was a 3K in the round for him. And Sykes, who was, you know, eventually tried coming up for that flank to support his team, was caught by the flank watch. So I like the way Fernie's played that. I didn't think it was going to work for them, but hey, what do I know? There's a reason why I'm a caster. But it's still a 4-2 half for Nocturnes. They have the advantage. And now we get to see how they do on their attack.
Yeah, we get to see how the potential role changes they've been working with, and we can see how those really come to fruition here. I don't think they've scrambled much around in terms of their existing players' roles, but you throw Sykes into the mix, and you throw Marmalade into the mix, and things are bound to shake up a little bit, whether that's who's taking leadership on the attacking side, whether that's who is sticking to that more supportive role. Marmalade taking up that Maverick, that flex support right now, starting out in this comfortable position. I mean, this is something we generally see from Marmalade here, but it's about how she adapts, how the rest of this Nocturnes attack adapts around these roles. And on the side of this defense from Fernie's, we saw their attacking prowess, at least their aggressiveness on the attacking side. And Poise on the Vigil, I assume that aggressiveness is likely going to continue. I mean, he's still holding this garage door. I mean, and this has been, what, 45 seconds of this same gunfight? So eager to take these fights, eager to challenge Nocturnes as they just get into the building, or at least attempt to. And a great start for them, because they are wasting quite a bit of time. Rainbow, the next player, trying to delay a push from logistics here, and they're not sitting back. They're not playing passive whatsoever. They are contesting Nocturnes at their entry points and making them fight for every inch of map control.
Yeah, Fernie's is holding on to the upstairs, poison rafters. Rainbow and Logi, and they're holding it with fervor. You do not want to give it up. I would like to remind everyone, the site is downstairs. Nocturnes have effectively wasted about a minute and a half. And just now are the roamers starting to fall back. Poise is already down in the basement. The Mute and the Mozzie both now coming down to join them. And there you go. The roam is over. Fernie's figures, hey, a minute 40, that's not too shabby. That's about what Nocturnes wasted on the first round as well. And now they can start to turn their attention to the site. They've got an Ashe. Definitely a little bit interesting. You don't see Ashe a lot anymore. We do see her sometimes on Clubhouse. The Sykes will be on that primary entry role. They've still got the sledge up, so they can still go ahead and work on kitchen and stuff like that. But again, the worry is going to be the time ticking away, and the fact that Fernie's Tacos have all 5 anchors still up.
First C4 goes out, and it will come up with absolutely nothing. Rainbow, he's already ripped and pre-placed their second C4, but nobody at all is in kitchen right now. The entire Nocturnes attack hasn't even stepped foot in there in the last 30 seconds. They are focusing on shifting this attack towards this church side. The first kill will be found bottom of the main stairs here by Sykes. Quickly refragged, though, by Nat as he swings with that 416C. Lackey trying to apply some pressure from blue, as is a necessity for any successful moto push, but so far being stalled out by the player back generator and the player sitting in dummies. Marmalade pushing in all alone will end up getting taken down by Nat. Lackey, a quick trade, but 2 more players from Nocturnes will fall right after. It's all up to FICO, who find 1 kill, but Rainbow will go for the wide swing, SMG-11 in hand, and will cleanly finish off the round for Fernie's Tacos, and they will start their defensive half off strong.
Nicely done by Fernie's. I like the roam. They pretty much employed the exact opposite philosophy that we saw from Nocturnes, right? Instead of Nocturnes playing very passive, avoiding the fights, using intel to avoid fights, which is usually counter to what we expect with the Pulse, and really playing for the time waste, Fernie's were up front. They were in their face. They did not let up the pressure, and that's what ended up stalling out Nocturnes. Then, you focus on the site play. All 5 Fernie's members were up. None of them had taken any damage, and the way Nocturnes pushed was a little bit curious. They had Sykes all the way down main stairs. Marmalade Moto going into church alone, and then it looked like everyone else blew, which is a little bit weird. Usually you put more stake into the church side of things because that's where the plant is going to be going down, and blue is a little bit more of a bottleneck because they had part of the church wall open. I mean, that was a possible entry point, but because the Ashe had died and because it was just Maverick there, they couldn't actually open up that soft wall to get the plant in behind Black Box. They also had really no info in church. Saw Marmalade walking in, didn't know the guy was behind Bomb Chassis. A lot of weird positioning, I would say, from Nocturnes during the execute.
I do like the mirror image, though, that we got in this Fernie's Tacos roam, and how they kind of constructed it compared to Nocturnes in those first Church and Arsenal defenses. Like you mentioned, it was interesting how that strategy differed, yet accomplished the exact same purpose, right? Nocturnes, when they were on defense, when they were defending Church, they had that roam, but they avoided fights at all cost. Yet 2 minutes was still wasted. Same thing goes for Fernie's Tacos. Rather than spending time avoiding fights and trying to just, sneak their way back to the site methodically, they decided to prevent at all costs Nocturnes from even stepping into the building. But once they felt that that control could no longer be held, they booked it straight back to the site. There was no quote-unquote staged roam where they fell back to different points and progressively worked their way back to the site. It was all or nothing, and it worked just the same. 2 minutes, or just nearly 2 minutes, were wasted off the clock. It put Nocturnes in, I wouldn't say an uncomfortable situation. 1 minute is about what attacking teams have become used to seeing on those basement attacks, but it accomplished the same goal. It made Nocturnes pick an attacking strategy and stick to it, rather than allowing them to have that freedom to change up their attacking strategy on the fly.
Speaking of changing strategy, we're also seeing the first Mira of our game. Despite being left up, she has not been played yet until round 8. We got one Mira window in Garage, and the other on the main breach. Yeah? Okay. And what are they going to do with that? I mean, are they going to C4
maybe? Yeah.
This might not stop. Well, okay, all right. There's a mute jammer behind the wall, so he can't breach it yet, I don't think. But I don't really know how much that's going to be stopping Exod. I mean, he's a little bit scared of it. So I mean, it's doing something. It's not direct, but it's a little bit of a time waste. Lackey, I believe, just cleared the jammer. Exod will go ahead and breach, and here's the C4, but wait, that still kills?
I was about to say, what's the point of the strategy if you can't throw the C4 properly, but apparently it kills from there.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's massive, because now you've lost Exod, hasn't had a chance to lose either of those exothermic charges. You still have Marmalade, of course, who has that hard breaching ability, but this is going to become very difficult very quickly for Nocturnes. I think we're going to see them likely rotate around and play a more aggressive frag-heavy game. That's Sykes' job here. He'll be the first to take the fight against Rainbow, and he'll be successful in doing so. Nat, however, has an answer for that, a double kill for the Kaid after that earlier Nitro cell, and that's going to be the end of Lackey and the end of Sykes as well. A triple kill for Nat. What is it with Kaid players and this bomb site? But they'll continue to pop off. The last two Nocturnes defenders will be, or attackers rather, will be pushing through the garage, and Vika will get one, but then the electricity will take him down, so will have to be recovered by Marmalade to fight in a 2v3.
I guess that was the plan. Maybe maybe Fernie's was aware that that still kills, and so they were like, hey, we don't need to perfectly land the C4 if the mirror window's open, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that was according to plan, and Fernie's knew that would kill. So, if so, hats off. Even I didn't know that, and I guess Nocturnes didn't either. And now, like you said, they're in a pretty difficult 2v3, especially with FICO so low. They will take out a shield and con, but I don't know how much that's going to do, especially with all this gas still remaining, and Titans getting a kill on the FICO. Now it's just Marmalade, barely any time, and she runs right into the waiting arms of Poise and Fernie's Tacos. Take round number 8. Score is now tied up 4 apiece.
That's a quick comeback from Fernie's Tacos. We were highlighting how maybe they'll be in a tough position after we'll say a little bit lackluster attacking half, but I mean, just like that, we are back to dead even. Still, they have Gym and Bedroom to go, a site that they have avoided thus far, so Nocturnes, they've got a chance to remedy some of the issues they've been having as well on this attacking side, but it's got to happen soon because Fernie's Tacos are building some momentum and they're building some confidence. And as we've talked about already, this is a team that, when confident, can be very, very dangerous. And they've been proving that so far, especially in these last 2 rounds. But as we head towards Gym and Bedroom, we will see a couple of changes in terms of this defensive lineup. One, of course, the Thunderbird coming out from Poise, and Flipper will be pulling out the Frost.
Yeah, Frost is new as well. The Thunderbird isn't. We saw her, I think, once from Nocturnes, if I'm not mistaken. Thunderbird's definitely an interesting operator. Kind of same vein as a Doc, where if you get headshotted, it really doesn't matter. But if you make those aggressive plays and you only get damaged by HP, well, you can fall back to the site, go to her, I think they're called the Kona stations, And, well, all that punishment is suddenly just gone. Plus, she's a 3-speed. Plus, she's got a rifle and a machine pistol secondary. Plus, she's got C4. Thunderbird is a pretty damn complete package. Her main use is, of course, going to be to increase the longevity of important positions. 2 of these positions being top red, behind green box, and the last Thunderbird is somewhere in the site. Could be Logi, could be bathroom.
Top rafters, maybe.
It is gold. Okay, it's gold vault. That makes sense. That's another very important anchor position. I like the way Thunderbird works. Do I think she might be a little bit too strong? I think it's too early to say, but she's definitely not bad by any means.
Yeah, there are some operators, when you bring them into the mix, you say, oh, well, that's an interesting pick for the situation, but Thunderbird is one of those that, given her kit, you can justify bringing her on every site, on every map, and I don't think we can complain at all. Like you said, her kit is extremely versatile, so we'll see exactly how Fernies want to utilize her in this round, other than, of course, just simply placing those Kona stations down. But in the same vein, we'll see how Nocturnes want to counter it. Contrary to what Fernie's Tacos wanted to do on their attacking side, Nocturnes went straight for this jacuzzi wall. This is a position that we have seen them approach in the past with some mixed results, but Sykes finds himself in the middle of the hallway and, well, finds himself straight into his 6-foot grave. So that is not the start that Nocturnes wanted, but a Claymore from Lackey will respond in kind, shutting down Poise and the Thunderbird, who was looking to get a bit too aggressive for her own good. And even 4v4 now that we crossed that 90-second mark.
Yeah, then the play that I was praising Sykes for earlier on the defense has not really replicated itself on the attack. He's gone for 2 very solo plays twice in a row, and neither have worked. And as Nocturnes try to bulldoze their way through the breach and into the site, well, all of them get cut down. It's a 3-for-1 trade in the favor of Fernies. That leaves Lackey alone in a 1 versus 3. And he's going to step in a frost mat. I was about to say, he's got to watch out for those. But I guess, right on cue. There it is. And, well, what was a 4-2 half in the favor of Nocturnes is now a 5-4 advantage for Fernies.
Well, if you think back to the last half, this is exactly how things transpired on the Nocturnes defensive side as well. So I'm not going to get too ahead of myself here, because 3 rounds in a row is just how things began on the other side of the coin. But round number 4 is where things changed. And just like our previous half, this is where things need to change for Nocturnes now. They've already used their tactical timeout. They do not have a moment to step back and think about this anymore. They need to just chug on ahead and make some changes on the fly. They're going to have a chance to go back to Church and Arsenal to revisit an attack that was rather unsuccessful the first time around, and they can figure out how to remedy their odd approach to Church and Arsenal. Now, specifically, they went for that Church attack and put a lot of stake into blue. In fact, pushing 3 players down blue, 1 down main stairs, and 1 into that Moto drop. Now, that's usually a bit contrary to what we do expect. Usually, it is Moto and the bottom of main stairs that's favored over blue, usually putting 1 or at the most 2 players pushing blue, because that is, like you highlighted earlier, Harrison, a dangerous choke point if the defenders are aware of that position. So for Nocturnes here, I expect to see a pretty big change. I don't know if that's going to come in maybe a focus attacking Arsenal instead of Church, or if that's simply going to come in putting a little bit more stake into that Moto drop instead.
Speaking of the Moto drop, though, they want to apply any pressure to Church, they will have to deal with the Mira. There's even a Mira facing blue as well. So pretty standard setup, the defense with that operator. And Nocturnes, well, Hibana's banned. Who was Hibana banned by? Well, it was banned by Fernie's Tacos. Not only is that a standard ban on this map, but, it also frees up that Mira play that Nocturnes may not have been expecting. So I like that from Fernie so far. Within the first couple of rounds, they've played pretty well off the Miras. I would imagine that trend to continue as, again, Nocturnes don't have a Hibana. They don't really have a lot to deal with it other than just walking up to it and punching.
The first priority, though, we'll see the Mira play a bit later. It's going to come down to whatever roam they're attempting to find. Because last time we talked a good bit about the aggressiveness of the Fernie's Tacos roam, how they weren't letting Nocturnes even get into the building at all. But this round is very different. Nocturnes are in on this first floor, and they haven't had a single problem doing so. And that's because every single Fernie's Tacos defender is on this basement site. Is, spread out, but albeit everyone is in position to defend this push. And despite that, Nocturne still took 90 seconds to get to this position. They were very nervous of that aggressive style of roam, and I think this is a good change from Fernie's. They didn't want to risk those positions being ousted like they were, potentially when Fernie's did that attack again. So now this change has forced Nocturnes now, even though they're making good progress, it's now going to force them to deal with so many more of these defenders on the site. They're beginning the vertical, they're starting to apply this pressure, but still a long way to go for an eventual execute.
I like this is what they've got so far, but again, here's the trouble, right? It's this mirror window from Poise, and he sees Sykes, so he's going to call out, hey, one's oil pit. I believe he may have just saw that guy blue. He'll see the Zoth launch and say, okay, they're pushing blue. There's two on me, but Marmalade will get the first pick onto Rainbow, and that's the mirror. That's a C4 dead. Exod will follow it up with another onto Titans. Nat, the next to fall. Sykes with a double into blue despite the mirror, and now it's Flipper alone. What happened to the defense? Marmalade will walk in and collect the last, and Nocturnes, I mean, hey, if you're going to lose your lead and then try to bounce back, a flawless round is just how you want to do it. What a way to attack that. I guess just the mirror windows being completely ineffectual. I don't know how Sykes was able to get a double in blue, but he did. And now we're all tied up again.
Yeah, a surprising outcome. I mean, we were focused on, how they would deal with the blue mirror window. And I suppose, despite, the call-outs being made by Poise to his teammates, there was a lot of trouble elsewhere that Poise was not fully aware of. There were a couple of gunfights that Nocturnes were happy to win early on. They did so with relative ease. And as powerful as that blue mirror was, it soon became more of a problem than a saving grace because Poise, being so tunnel-visioned on the two players that he knew were pushing him, he got a little bit distracted and couldn't support the rest of his teammates as they died elsewhere. And then, like you said, Harrison, Sykes just kind of lines two defenders up and gets 2 kills like that. And there you go. Nocturnes have a 5 versus 1. They have a round in their hands. They've tied it up now. It's 5 versus 5, or 5 to 5, excuse me. And we are potentially seeing the exact same pattern like we did on this first half, with finally 4 rounds in, these attacking teams are getting a better understanding of what these defensive teams are bringing to the table and finally figuring out a way to remedy that.
Really close game so far. I think that flawless win was probably, not just because it was flawless, but really the only super, convincing win that we've had, I'd say. I don't know. Both teams have been making a fair bit of mistakes. Mainly, I would say, on the attack. We've had a couple of interesting pushes. But hey, Nocturnes cleaned up last round. We'll see if that trend can continue onto their cash push. And once again, they're looking to avoid garage. I think that's a smart decision, considering just how much utility is dedicated to the garage doors. There is a mirror window in there, blah, blah, blah. They just want to focus on the gym side of things and go for the standard push. Now, they see the mirror window there once again. And I imagine that Exxon is going to be ready for that potential C4 should it come, as they now know it doesn't matter if the C4 actually goes through the window. It will kill anyway, because I guess that's how the new shrapnel change works.
Something I like about this Fernie setup is that it almost forces Nocturnes to either ignore the platform wall or force them to take garage, right? If you have Exod or trying to get that wall open and you have someone like Nat who is a constant threat on Raptors with a C4 in hand, you need to deal with that position eventually. Otherwise, you're going to get punished for it. The first player to get punished in this round, though, is Sykes, who is kind of minding his own business down in bar, and Rainbow just sneaks up from the basement. Nocturne's completely unaware of that roam, and that's going to be a great opening kill for Fernie's to have. Fico is now kind of left alone downstairs, left to deal with whatever roam is left from Fernie's. And the on-site pressure that Nocturnes were trying to build is now in a bit of a tough spot because they're forced to just jump through this window, but Nat is too tunnel visioned on this right now. Somehow, he'll still get that kill, but Marmalade, I think, is in the middle of this site, and Nat has no idea. Sitting on the other side of the server rack, Marmalade is just holding down this territory. Finally, the call's going to go out because Rainbow is taking this fight with her. But a perfect C4 from Nat comes in and saves the day. Poise lines one up. Nat to finish it off onto FICO, and a flawless round is sent right on back by Fernie's Tacos in response.
I think it was a 3K from Nat. That was an interesting round, I'll say. So Nocturnes were like, hey, we can't get the breach because of this freaking mirror window. What do we do? Well, they start clearing from gym side and below. Their below clear doesn't go as planned because they have inadequate flank watch, and Rainbow gets a freebie. Fortunately, FICO can't make anything happen below with his nades, and they just stun in and send it through the server window, which almost worked. I don't know how, like, Nat saw Marmalade. Like full view. Marmalade was just kind of sitting right next to the server rack, crouched, putting shots into cache. And I guess Nat just didn't see her or reacted too late. That was a little weird, but it ended up not mattering. Marmalade was unable to make anything happen in the middle of the site. She couldn't kill any of the guys on red. She couldn't kill Nat, who already got the pick on the breach on the Zoe. And so that rush was pretty ineffectual. It was pretty poor. And now it's Fernie 6-5. They're one round away from taking the series, only they have to do it on Church. They are 1-1 on this site, but the most recent attempt was a loss. They will be going back to the Roam, back to the Mute Mozzie Vigil, and hoping to stall Nocturnes out for 2 minutes once again.
I just want to say Nat has been insane so far.
Yeah, 17-7.
GNAT, is that the preferred go-to pronunciation?
No, we just call it.
But last week against Outlast, I was looking at the stats just a moment ago, and you know, Poise was really the highlight player. Got 13 kills, Nat only able to get 9. But man, things have really changed. Nat stepping up in a really big way for Fernie's, and it's clear that they needed it, because without these 17 frags, this would likely look very different. On the defensive side, Nat has stepped up in a big way, of course. The Maverick on the attack was huge as well, but really it has been the defensive side where both of these teams have really shown through. And so I suppose it's now time for Nocturnes to see if they can shine through just one more time on the attack. They've done it once, but they need to do it one more time on Church, and to do so, they still have to fight their way through yet again this aggressive roam. It's Nat, it's Titans, and it's Poise. 3 players holding down a very extended roam, but Rainbow is actually the first player to fall. I guess another roamer over on that gym side maybe dropped down into bar itself, but either way, an opening frag that Nocturnes are going to be more than happy to claim.
Sykes is the one to get it, getting a little bit of revenge from the previous round, swapping off of Ash onto Jackal. I guess I agree with that. You know, if you know they're going to be going for the really extended, aggressive roam, you know, you might as well get a little bit aid. And you're definitely going to need that aid. As Jonah, look at the time. There's a minute 15. All 4 players are on site. And look at the drones. There are 4 in total for Nocturnes. Wow. That's not a lot of info to work with. 6 players have lost both of theirs on this roam clear. So although the roam clear wasn't as successful in terms of kills with how aggressively they were playing it, they still wasted 2 minutes, and they still took out so much info for the attack. And now with Lackey going down and the man count being evened, the advantage, the slim advantage Nocturnes has been lost, especially as Titans gets another one. Now it's a 1-man advantage for Fernie's Tacos. The intel definitely in their corner, and Marmalade is going to try solo pushing down blue, and she will be completely unsuccessful. Nat fries her, Poise not being killed through the wall. Exot does get one in the Church, but does he know there's another hard left? It's the smoke of Flipper, who does get taken down through the Church holes by Sykes. Now it's a 2 versus 2, and we've got to see Exxon and Sykes step up in a big way. Titans holding the crossfire, not going to find it. Sykes will land the triple. He's looking for the last, but Poise finds him. The plant has to be stuck by Exxon. This should be an easy kill for Poise, but no, Exxon gets off of it. Nocturnes take us to OT, another 2v4 for them.
What in the world just happened? Nocturnes pulling around out of nowhere. Exot and Sykes, are you kidding me? Fernie's Tacos, that was wraps. That was a 4v2 with 20 seconds left. On match point, on a site that was, what?
Sykes, I mean, 3K for him. I don't know, he found like every angle he needed to up until the last guy.
And then Exot, of course, with that very bold move to get off the plant. I mean,
wow.
Jeez. They really did step up that attack. I mean, I guess giving credit to everyone on Nocturnes would be a bit unfair because really the attack was a failure for the most part. I mean, there really isn't much you can say about, oh, this attack, it was great because of great coordination and they worked as a team. No, they had a bad intel game. They struggled to deal with the roam and they all died in 1v1 gunfights. But you leave it up to Exile, you leave it up to Sykes, who now both hit double digits on those kills. And, well, they'll be more than happy to put the team on their shoulders and take us over to overtime. Of course, Nocturnes are certainly not out of the woods yet, though, because they find themselves on the attacking half to start things off, which means that if this pattern of 4-2 defensive halves continues into OT, Fernies have a tremendous advantage.
I'm still recovering. I can't believe they won that. Wow. Especially after the roam was like, it was still okay.
Yeah.
They still wasted 2 minutes, and the initial anchor play was so good. But now, yeah, 6-6. Like you said, this is going to be the real testing ground for Nocturnes. They need to win and attack. We know they can take a defense. We know both teams can win their defenses. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to maximum overtime. But it's Nocturnes that have the pressure on them to buck the trend. And Sykes right now is staring down someone prone on the red stairs. That's Poise, but Poise will lift off the angle just as Sykes crosses through his crosshair, and he'll get a drone for his trouble. And Nocturnes, they'll go ahead, open up the server breach fully with the Thermite. Now they've got to tackle these stalwart positions boosted by the Thunderbird.
Yeah, these cache extensions, really any extension is going to be fortified tenfold by the presence of those Kona stations, and that's exactly what Nocturnes need to work their way through first. You'll have FICO drone this out so they know somebody is sitting in a pretty typical position on the top of red stairs, but the one player I don't think they know is there is the one holding down Secret. Rainbow, a potential flank at any time, even once this control is secured, but it does look like that may be happening soon enough because Sykes able to get that kill onto Titans. That's actually going to force Rainbow to actually assume this position back at top red to bolster this cache extension even further. This is taking up a lot of time off the clock, but Marmalade dealing with Poise now makes this one even more difficult for Fernie's Tacos. Nat goes huge though. A headshot onto Exot after a nice shotgun kill. Rainbow to follow it up with a kill onto Marmalade, and now a 2 versus 3 with FICO and Sykes forced to fight, now back from this disadvantage with only 60 seconds left to work with. Rainbow now will disappear into the night. He'll creep his way downstairs and be a threat for later. In the meantime, Flipper and Nat, they will lock down this site and wait for Nocturnes to walk into their open arms.
And it was such a beautiful clear, too. It was incredible the way Sykes, as well as the rest of his team, were able to pick apart those cache players. But Nat steps up where it matters, especially with Rainbow. They knew he was on red. I believe he shot a drone, but was still able to make something happen and slip away. And now it's these two attackers, both attempting to push through Logi. They've got to tussle with Nat, who's currently on 20 kills. Playing at the smoke. He's inside of Jim. He can cover Gold Vault. Meanwhile, you got Flipper and Rainbow, both on short, looking from main stairs and around towards the bathroom wall. Here's the first peek from Sykes. He'll land one, but not the second. That leaves it all up to FICO. He doesn't know where Nat is. Nat will actually slip away. He's downstairs now. I don't know if he's got info to play with, but it doesn't matter. Flipper is still up here, and FICO is unable to win the fight. And Fernie's Tacos, they fight from the back despite losing the first two. Nat steps up big, and so does the rest of his team on the anchor, and they take the first round of overtime.
I mean, it's the story of the map so far. Nat stepping up exactly when his team needs that. I mean, it was crumbling. Their cache extension was falling away. Yes, they wasted a lot of time, but that's kind of what you deal with when you're going for such an aggressive cache extension like that, even though you waste 2 minutes. All of a sudden, with 2 quick headshots from Nocturnes, your entire defense can be uprooted just like that. But Nat didn't seem to care. He went for a swing with a shotgun. He got a kill. He whipped out the SMG-11. He got a beautiful headshot, hitting 20 kills and, well, transforming the entire round. Because at that point, Nocturnes, they started to fumble. They started to lose that attacking momentum they were building up. And Fernie's Tacos just close it out, just on account of Nocturnes running out of time, running out of manpower to get the job done. So they'll now sit at again, another match point position for Fernie's Tacos, but they're switching over to the attacking side now. So Nocturnes now can defend Church and Arsenal. They can lock this site down. A site which, interestingly enough, they are going to, despite winning one and losing one, rather than going to a site like Gym, which has gone in their favor both times they attempted it.
Yeah, definitely a curious decision, especially with how perfectly they played the passivity on the site. Though Church, in the rounds they won was strong, or the round they won was rather strong, and the round the round they lost, second attempt, was, I think, a bit of a misplay from the Nocturne side. So I guess they figure, hey, if we don't mess up like that again, we should be in pretty good standing. But, despite going down to Church, the hold is a little bit different, right? There's no pulse. That's a big thing. There is no more hard info. You've also now got the Malusi. So if Fernie's try to just bum rush around to the side, they're going to be stopped by those Banshees at least momentarily, giving you a little bit more info, a little bit more heads up to where those players are coming from. You also still conserve that C4, and you're dropping a Vigil for a Jaeger, who will give you a little bit more longevity on some of those site positions thanks to those ADSs. And Fernies are clearing the map way faster than they ever have before because Sykes and Marmalade are not playing aggressively upstairs. There's really not a lot to stop them. And this is where I'm a little bit worried, Jonah, because the 2 rounds that Nocturnes played on this site were so successful and almost successful because of the sheer amount of time they wasted on the roam, and they no longer have that luxury.
Right, a full 90 seconds still remains for Fernie's Tacos to continue this vertical pressure and to build up an approach, or at least multiple approaches of how they want to get this take done. And especially on a site like Church and Arsenal, when, there are several different general approaches for attacking teams to do, and they can change that on the fly. This extra pretty much 40 seconds that they have will likely could possibly be a saving grace for them if they find difficulty on one of these approaches or the other. They haven't found difficulty anywhere just yet. Everyone from Fernie's Tacos is still very much in this fight, but as the first Selma charge goes down, a perfect impact trick to deny it, but then, yes, Harrison, the bait comes out, and Exod falls victim to that. Gets his 10th kill, of course, earlier in the previous rounds, but unable to get any more. And now putting Nocturnes into the disadvantage. Now Fernies, with 40 seconds to go, begin the flash dump for this execute.
I said earlier they conserved the C4. I didn't know Exod was actually going for the impact trick, but yeah, Rainbow had a perfect bait. And now, like you said, here comes the flash dump. Here comes the dirt pressure. Sykes goes down behind AKs. This could be it. It's a 2v5. FICO and Lackey. The Frenchies need to clutch up, and it's just the Jaeger. 1 versus 5. He's up top, but the plant goes down. There's nothing he can do with the vertical play. He's got to push right in. He'll get 1 kill into Church, but there's still plenty in Arsenal and plenty upstairs covering that kitchen hatch. The EE1D will slow him down even more. Flipper still has one in his back pocket. You've even got a nade from Nat, but it's not going to be needed. Nat will shut him down. 20+ kills for GNat, and Fernie's take an 8-6 win.
Quite a comeback and a win they deserved, fighting back from a 0-3 deficit, a 3-round deficit, and working their way beautifully in this second half and maintaining that second half defensive momentum through unto overtime.